I'm Anna, 29 years old, residing with my husband Edward and our 3 daughters. For the past 2 decades, I've been estranged from my family. Growing up, I always felt isolated within my seemingly close-knit family. Shy and introverted, I struggled to stand out, having only a few friends during my school years. In contrast, my older sister Naomi was outgoing and popular due to her good looks. My parents seemed to favor her, evident in instances like shopping for hair accessories, where I was asked to yield to her preferences. Despite my parents' favoritism, Naomi treated me coldly and even discouraged me from talking to her at school. The emotional distance between us grew as I got older, and upon high school graduation, I made the decision to leave home for good. While Naomi attended an expensive private college, my parents, struggling to afford her tuition, expressed indifference toward my plans. When they later asked for money, I couldn't tolerate the years of neglect. Fed up, I snapped and declared my independence. My decision led to a confrontation with my dad, who yelled at me and declared me dead to them. With only a few belongings and a small amount of savings from my part-time job, I left home, overwhelmed but resolute never to return. I successfully established a new life for myself in a different place. The company that hired me right after high school didn't offer a high salary, but the people were kind and supportive, making each day fulfilling. While working in a building that contracted with a cleaning service, I met my husband, Edward. Our initial exchanges were simple greetings, but as time passed, we engaged in small talk, leading to Edward inviting me to dinner. His warm smile and dedicated work ethic had always caught my attention, and without hesitation, I accepted his invitation. We continued to go out, and after our 3rd dinner, Edward confessed his feelings, marking the beginning of our relationship. Our connection thrived, and on our 3rd anniversary, we decided to tie the knot. Despite my reservations about reconnecting with my parents, I reached out to them to share the news of my upcoming wedding. The response from my dad was unexpectedly cold and indifferent. Disheartened, I hung up the phone, tears streaming down my face. Edward, noticing my distress, came over and comforted me with a gentle touch on my back. As I shared the disappointing phone call with him, he reassured me that I had him and his parents, who were thrilled to welcome me into their family. Wrapped in Edward's embrace, I realized that I was not alone anymore, and I decided to focus on the positive aspects of my life. My in-laws proved to be incredibly kind and warmer than my own family. A couple of years later, we welcomed our first daughter into the world, and our lives were filled with joy and fulfillment. Despite cutting ties with my family years ago, I embraced the support and love from my new family. I received an unexpected call from my dad, and though hesitant, I answered, thinking it might be urgent. To my surprise, he sounded unusually cheerful. I shared that I was doing well and mentioned having a daughter. However, my news about having a grandchild was casually dismissed. Despite keeping my composure, I was shocked at the lack of enthusiasm. Dad then dropped the bombshell that my sister was getting married to a successful businessman who owned several companies. Following this announcement, I received an unexpected invitation to the wedding scheduled in 2 months. I couldn't help but feel the insensitivity, especially recalling that when I got married, only Edward's family celebrated with us. I couldn't invite my own family. Yet my dad insisted I attend my sister's wedding, emphasizing the potential embarrassment if her in-laws thought I couldn't attend my own wedding. Despite my reservations, I felt somewhat obligated to go. Since our daughter was still young, I decided to attend alone, leaving her in Edward's care. With some time to spare before the meet and greet my dad mentioned, I considered spending it at the hotel cafe. However, as I walked through the lobby, I spotted a familiar figure from behind, my sister. Surprised to see me, she questioned my presence, and I congratulated her on her wedding. She, in turn, seemed puzzled, mentioning that she had explicitly asked Dad not to invite me. It became apparent that my dad had invited me merely to maintain appearances. Feeling dejected once again, I couldn't fathom why I was treated this way after making the effort to attend. I didn't receive an invitation, so I decided to leave. Leaving my daughter with my husband, I requested that he explain the situation to Dad. As I was about to exit, my sister seemed to recall my presence. "By the way, Anna, you're married too, right? What does your husband do?" When I shared that he worked in the cleaning business, she scoffed, dismissing it as a dirty job and commenting on the assumed state of our house. Unable to tolerate the insults, I lost my temper. asserting my happiness with my life and expressing a desire for no further interference from her or Dad. With a sneer, she declared we were strangers now and would remain so. Storming out of the hotel, I noticed my ruined makeup, a stark reminder of my brief 30-minute visit after a 2-hour journey. Upon returning home, my husband and daughter greeted me warmly, understanding the ordeal. My husband embraced me, emphasizing that I belonged with them. Over the next decade, I gave birth to 2 more daughters, becoming a mom of 3. Although I initially left my job after the first daughter's birth, I eventually returned to work at the same cleaning company as my husband. During a routine cleaning at the office, I conceived an idea for a cleaning tool, which gained traction within the company. Actively involved in the project, the tool, designed from a homemaker's perspective, became a huge success. The business flourished, attracting attention online and in magazines, with demand soaring beyond our expectations. We decided to establish a subsidiary for manufacturing and selling cleaning products, and surprisingly, I was chosen as the CEO of the new company. With strong support from everyone, the company grew into a $40 million business. Balancing work and household chores, my husband and daughter have been supportive, making our life busy yet fulfilling. However, a recent TV segment featuring me changed everything. The 10-minute segment on a lifestyle show showcased my background and the inception of my product, leading to a surge in inquiries and a busier schedule. One day at the office, I received a note with a callback number. Expecting another interview request, I was taken aback when I saw it was from my sister. Despite blocking her and my parents' numbers after the wedding incident, she chose this moment to reconnect, possibly inspired by my recent TV appearance. Wary but wanting to avoid disruptions at work, I reluctantly called her back. Annoyed by her casual greeting, I inquired about her intentions. She remarked on my newfound financial success and suggested that I help them out. Irritated, I questioned the need for my involvement in her husband's business, to which she retorted,
I answered the call, and he immediately brought up the past, referencing the wedding incident. Annoyed, he cut me off, accusing me of being gloomy due to dwelling on the past. I was dumbfounded by his audacity. My family now consists of my loving husband and daughters, and I asserted that he is not a part of it anymore. Despite his protests, I ended the call, thinking it was the end of the matter. However, I was wrong. To my surprise, my parents and sister showed up at my office. The receptionist was flustered, but my dad insisted on continuing our conversation. Not wanting to create a scene at work, I contacted my husband and we agreed to meet them at home. Tension filled the air as both families gathered. Taking the lead, I bluntly addressed their likely intention of asking for money. I made it clear that I had no funds to spare for them. They laughed dismissively, claiming their familial ties entitled them to a share of my success. My sister's husband even asserted that with financial help, he could run a business more successfully than me. His arrogance mirrored that of my sister and parents. I firmly stated that the only connection we share is blood, and I have no reason to help strangers who happen to be family. Before I could retort further, my husband intervened, placing his hand on my shoulder and standing beside me. He calmly but firmly asserted that I was already part of their family, and they didn't need my estranged relatives to find happiness. He challenged them, suggesting that perhaps they were the ones who needed us. In response, my sister erupted, mocking my husband's occupation as a janitor, surrounded by garbage all day. Unfazed, my husband defended the honor of janitorial work, emphasizing its role in keeping the community clean. He revealed that he is the CEO of the parent company of my business, shutting down their attempts to belittle him and reaffirming our family's strength. In surprise, my sister screamed, "What, Anna? You never mentioned!" I couldn't help but laugh at the shocked faces of my parents and sister. He wasn't the CEO when we got married. It was originally his father's company, I added. Their faces turned sour. My husband stepped in, stating, "If your husband is such a great businessman, he shouldn't need our financial help." Attempting to respond, my sister and her husband were left at a loss for words. Taking a deep breath, I asserted, "This is the last time we'll talk. We're fine being strangers. If you make a scene, I'll call the police." Despite their glares, my husband stood in front of me, staring them down. They left without another word. Later, my husband shared surprising news. His company had business dealings with my brother-in-law's company, and he decided to cut all ties. When my brother-in-law came to apologize, my husband didn't accept it. Unfortunately, my brother-in-law's company, which lost its business partners, went bankrupt, burdened with massive debt. Consequently, my sister and her husband divorced. Moreover, my dad, who had been receiving financial help from them, prematurely retired without consulting anyone. Now unable to find a job due to his age, my parents' marriage was also on the rocks. Meanwhile, my divorced sister, back at our parents' home, was barely making ends meet with a part-time factory job. On the other hand, my work is going well, and my family is happy. We're planning a long family vacation with my in-laws. Grateful for the happiness I have, I plan to cherish every day.